going to try to pull this off. So we got in touch with Bobby Portis's people, and we're like, he is a charity. It's the Bobby Portis Foundation. We're like,
yeah,
all right.
From Milwaukee Bucks, Bobby Portis.
Portis, yep. The mayor of Milwaukee.
Yeah. The guy who became a meme of like after that NBA playoff game where he had the headband and was just like,
the big eyes.
Technical foul. Yeah.
No, he's great. And so we pitched this idea to him because he's a bowler.
Yeah.
We said he was a bowler. No, he can bowl. So we did this thing at Landmark Lanes in Milwaukee. Just a big charity event. We had probably a couple hundred people in there. So it was Bobby versus Al the accountant bowling. We had like do this fun lead up to it, like some videos and stuff like that. So yeah, 3 games. It wasn't too close. Al was a much better bowler than Bobby turned out to be, but oh my God, he was so fun. No, he's not terrible. I think he's like a 150 or 160, but Al's an actual bowler.
Yeah.
But ton of fun. And, he's signing autographs and then just talking. Tom Cole, who was one of the hosts on the original Bowling with the Champ from back in the 80s, he's still local. Like I had some friends who knew him, so we got together with him and he's like, oh, I'd love to be part of it. So he was like the host. We had some other hosts. So yeah, it was just this cool thing. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's on YouTube.
Welcome back, friends. Today, I drove all the way down to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to hang out with the founder, the originator of Drink Wisconsinbly. Welcome to the show, Richard Lorbach.
Thanks, man.
This might be my favorite thing you've made.
I mean, that is just that's a fun little, I call it an accident, but it was just a throwaway little design that I did for the packaging on our canned old fashioned, and it just, I don't know, kind of.
This came from a design that you personally doodled?
Yeah, I drew them up.
Oh, sick.
For the can. I just wanted to bring a little life to it, just have some fun with it. It was just some different ideas.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's dope. Okay, so in your own words, who are you and what are you passionate about?
Richard Lorbach, like you said, the creator, kind of the guy who started the Drink Wisconsinbly brand here. I'm just kind of passionate about what we're doing, our brand. It's a ton of fun, and just Wisconsin in general. I've been here my whole life, and just kind of love everything that this state has to offer. There's a lot to it. A lot of people don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we're overlooked like by the whole rest of the country. People think Wisconsin's just this like flyover state that's farmland and cheese and there's nothing going on.
Curd and a brat. And
they're like, you guys just get drunk because there's nothing happening. It's like, no, dude. Like Wisconsin's dope.
A lot of reasons to get drunk for more than.
Yeah, exactly. Go Bucks. Okay, so you have done a lot of different business things. So I'm trying to figure out like where we really want to start because the Drink Wisconsinbly, which has been around for what, 12 years or something now? It's like a long time.
2013. So
yeah, 12 years already. But you've been doing businessy type stuff kind of forever. So what was your earliest memory of something in the entrepreneurship world? Was it you in high school? You were like making fake IDs for people, or what was the first thing you remember doing?
No, I wasn't good at those. 2000 is when I first got like my first LLC. I started up a little thing I was a graphic designer.
Oh, cool.
Went to, from Milwaukee, went to UWM, got a graphic design degree. So just kind of art was always my thing, class artist in high school, that kind of thing. So, in 2000, I was designing some different things here. When you get started, like business cards and people's logos and, stuff like that, little bit of t-shirts and things like that. So that was 2000. So I just kind of did that myself for a few years, a full-time job. I've had full-time job up until about 5-6 years ago. So all the things I've been doing, I've always been a side hustle.
Sure.
Just to show you like, how much is going on and like, just keep going. Like I go to work every day, but then I've got 2 or 3 other things that I'm just kind of working on because I'm passionate about creating something and being.
Yeah, I think people I think there's a lot of people have this misconception when they see a brand that it's like, oh, that's your full-time gig and you must be making a killing. It's like, that's not the case the vast majority of the time. You know what I mean?
It really is.
Like, even when I was interviewing Richie and Bree over at Milwaukee and Cut, it was like, so as big as this is of a media company right now, you guys still have a marketing agency, and like that's where you do a lot of your work, right? Yeah. And there's like all these other things that are going on in order to make this thing float. All these types of things, you don't just fall into a career of having your own vodka. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's a passion project that hopefully, if you put enough into it over an extended period of time, it can eventually be something. So you were doing graphic design. How did that evolve? Was it you just handling it for like a bunch of brands? Did you get hired by a bigger brand as like the head graphic designer for a while, or how did that work?
Yeah, it was just so like I had a full-time job being a graphic designer. So I would just this was just me just looking for something to do on the side because I was creative. And like, so friends would need a logo, friends would need wedding invitation, whatever it is, right? So that was just like small time stuff just to keep me busy and just to kind of get me started.
Sure.
In 2005, I'm terrible with dates. You're gonna have to keep me honest on these dates. I'm gonna screw up all.
I mean, we were talking about 20 years ago, so it's okay. It's understandable.
2005. I started doing just a little bit more of a t-shirts. I wanted to do things with t-shirts just because it's an easy thing to get into, right?
Yeah.
But back then, and I know you've talked about this with some other people, like print on demand and drop shipping wasn't as, there were some things, but they weren't good. Like you could print on a t-shirt, but it looked terrible, and it was like, ugh. So I took me a few years to finally, like, there was a company that, now I can actually, this sort of looks like a screen print, so I can actually pull this off.
Yeah.
So 2005, I kind of had just started my own little side t-shirt business.
What was that?
So the name of it is called Jerkass, jerkass.com. And the fun story about that is I have 2 kids, my daughter, Anna, and my son, Luke. So Luke was about 3. And, just one day he was talking and he said, Dad's a jerkass. He for sure was trying to call me a jackass, which a little weird and funny, but if you know him, it wasn't. But so we just thought that was really funny. Like, where do you jerk ass? So I'm like, oh, well. And then me with my brain, I'm like, well, that's funny. I trademarked it. I have jerkass.com. I've had that for like 20 years now. And then I just started doing t-shirts with that. A couple years of that led me to. It wasn't okay. So I was doing t-shirts and I sort of got into like the Wisconsin stuff. There wasn't a lot of people doing Wisconsin t-shirts. Like I was trying to think so Scani, if you know the Scani brand out of Madison, like they were like 2008. And then Bruce City Apparel in Milwaukee here is another one. They've been around for a while. So they were doing like, Milwaukee, Wisconsin themed things, but nothing too creative, nothing like pushing the boundaries.
Well, and this was just before social media, right? So there weren't a million influencers that were like, I'm just going to make my own merch. Like I have my own coffee cup because it's like easy to do now, but it was a different thing back then.
It was very different back then.
Yeah.
I saw a Facebook page. This was pretty early on in Facebook. Again, this is 2000. Again, with the dates, right? I'm going to say 2010 is when I first did my first Facebook page, and it was called I'm Not Drunk, I'm From Wisconsin.
Which you can still find. You guys don't post on it, but you still, as of like 2 days ago, had 238,000 followers.
I got it up to, it was probably almost 300,000.
That's crazy. Yeah.
This page, which I didn't do a lot, but I don't, from what I remember, there wasn't anybody else doing it. Like now there's a ton of these meme pages and jokes and all that. Pretty sure that was the first one, and it took off pretty fast. So that was 2010. And a couple, a few came after that. So then I was doing I'm Not Drunk, I'm From Wisconsin. Then I started doing a lot of these Wisconsin t-shirts. Like, I love day drinking, which is still a thing we do for Drink Wisconsin. But a lot of the stuff that I did back then, I just kind of moved it over to Drink Wisconsin a few years later, which I guess we'll get to. But so that was doing that for a few years.
And that was all through jerkass.com you were selling them? Or was it you're selling it through Facebook? Or how did that kind of evolve?
Yeah, you couldn't sell through Facebook or anything like that. So it was just a print. It was jerkass.com, but printed through Spreadshirt, so like tie it in. So
so like when you had the Facebook page, I'm Not Drunk, I'm From Wisconsin, you capitalized using that to push people to the Jerkass website then to buy the merchandise. Is how that worked?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I guess I know we're skipping a whole bunch here, but the reason we're here today mostly is to talk about Drink Wisconsinbly. That's like the big overarching thing. So what really is like the origin? Obviously it's the Drink Responsibly is where like the name kind of like gets it from, but like how did that actually come about? Where did you get that idea, and was it immediate? Like you heard it and you wrote it down on a receipt paper and then that day you designed it in a computer? How did it work?
It's kind of funny because we haven't talked about this, but you're not that far off. So 2000 and God, was the year here? 2012? Yeah.
Okay.
Just out watching we were watching a football game. We were at a bar. I remember I tell people all the time, because people ask me this all the time, and I just wish I had a better story to tell. I should have made something up, right?
Sure.
Like way more creative. But just watching the game, and there's TVs on, and there's and at the end of most beer commercials, a lot of them just say, "And please drink responsibly."
Yeah.
I heard "Drink Wisconsinbly," like I heard it.
You already had a couple beers in you, and that's just what
I made a couple, but I heard
Wisconsin pride.
I absolutely heard it, and I just kind of looked, like, turned around, and the commercial was kind of over. I'm like, what was that? That was weird. Didn't think too much of it, other than like that's just kind of interesting, right? 2 days later, I just kind of came back to me, and I just like Googled because I wanted to see what that was about, and there was nothing. I'm like, this can't be. There's got. Once you because you hear it, this is Wisconsin, Drink Wisconsin.
It would make sense.
It just made too much sense. I'm like, this has to be a thing, and it just wasn't.
Yeah.
So, like that day or the next day or something, like again, graphic designer, so I just jumped on the computer, and like within an hour, I designed the logo.
Sure.
Part of that, like this is another thing. So the spelling of a Drink Wisconsinbly.
Yeah. I feel like it's controversial.
It used to. It's not so much anymore. But back in the, like, I can't believe you spelled it like that. It shouldn't have an N, or it should have another I. Drinkably. People pronounce it a million different ways still to this day. But the truth of the matter is, when I was designing the logo, it's just the way that Wisconsin fit, I just put an N in there because it just visually it looked better. And I didn't know anything was going to become of this. It was just another T-shirt design that I was throwing together for my I'm Not Drunk page. So
yeah, but it is pronounced Drink Wisconsinbly.
Wisconsinbly.
Not Wisconsinbly, not Wisconsinbly. Wisconsinbly.
It could have been any one of those, but it looked best on the T-shirt like that, and just bought the domain and trademarked it a little bit later. And
I gotta feel like at the beginning you would hear people say that incorrectly, and it would just like grind your gear a little bit. Like
it still does. I don't want to mention any names, but somebody I work like that is on our team.
Yeah, still
7 or 8 years didn't pronounce it right.
Oh my!
Finally corrected it.
That's funny. But I mean, with customers and everything, that has to be an extremely common occurrence where you just go, "Well, I accept it is what it is." I can't.
So how too much.
So how did that evolve? Because obviously, like, you're making T-shirts, and that's cool, but that's like the simplest, basic thing to go into. And now on like a whole different level, you have the pub, and like putting out your own alcohol is a much larger endeavor than T-shirts. But where did it go from T-shirts? Was it just strictly apparel for a few years, or what happened?
Yeah. So again, it's just a part-time thing, right? So I'll take one step back. So I did this on my own for about a year. So there's a lot of pieces to this. I'll try to hit some of the fun, like the more interesting ones.
Yeah, sure.
So when I first did, I designed it, put those T-shirts on my site. Didn't even like push them out on social media. I was just kind of thinking through this a little bit. I kind of, I'm like, this could be something. Let me just make sure I kind of do it the right way. Yeah. But while I was doing that, I also, the thought in my brain when I first kind of came up with this, like, sure, it's a T-shirt, whatever, but like I had 2 neons made. I'm like, this is going to be a cool neon sign with the logo, and it was. It looked super sharp. So I did a Kickstarter campaign. I thought, I think people Wisconsin bars. There's 9,000 Wisconsin bars. There's a lot of bars.
Yeah.
Anybody who's like proud of us, like if it's Wisconsin bar, put a Drink Wisconsinbly. Like, come on in, drink Wisconsin.
Sure.
So that was my idea. So I did this Kickstarter thing, and it did pretty good. I hit the number, and we put out 50 or 60 neons.
Oh,
so
wow.
That was that. That started it.
How did you get, like, which bars did you get them to, and how did that work? Did you, like, cold call them? Did you go on a road trip around the state, like, showing them to people, or what happened?
I did a little bit of that, but through the Kickstarter, it was mostly people buying them. It wasn't really, like...
Sure,
buying them directly. And this was a while ago, so I don't remember exactly.
Sure.
There's still a few out there that they still people send them.
That's right.
Yeah, so that was cool. So, the Kickstarter with the neons, and then the merch. So, merch was, for the first 6 or 7 years, was primarily just merch.
Yeah.
Just an e-com, an e-com business online. And we did a good job. We had a lot of stuff. So like we just kept pulling up like T-shirts, sweatshirts, drinkware, all the normal tchotchkes you would see. But that was the focus. So online, and then we had also like a wholesale. So
were you making all that stuff yourself though? Because even if we're talking like 2015, like print on demand was not nearly as available as it is.
We didn't do
currently.
any print on demand. It was all we were actually doing this.
Did you rent out like a space to print them, or
no? We
how
worked
did
with
it
other
work?
printers,
right?
But
Sure,
they're actually printed.
Yeah, but then you would have to print 100 of them and invest that money and sit on them and hope they sell, right?
We did, yeah. So we pretty smart about it because I was saying we had a wholesale side of this too. So pretty early on, like the Milwaukee airport and the Madison airport and like Mars Cheese Castle, like some of the bigger ones, they started bringing our stuff in, so then we could order it kind of in bulk and sell it.
Yeah, okay.
So distribute it. So just.
What was the vision at that point? Were you like, I want to take this full time as an apparel brand, or was it just like nice that it wasn't the stream of income you needed, and it was just like, I can build this at the speed that it feels right? Yeah.
So the other important part of this is, so like I said, I was doing this for about a year on my own. To tie this all in, when I was doing I'm Not Drunk, I'm from Wisconsin, a guy named Sean Moritz reached out to me. He's in St. Paul, actually, and they had a company, 30 Watt. They do like these prank gift box. I don't know, maybe you've even heard of these things before, but so anyway, he reached out. He's like, I like your humor. I like what you're doing with the brand. Yeah, I'm from Milwaukee. I get it. He's like, maybe you could just come on board and part-time and just write jokes for us and do some different products. So I worked with these guys on that for a year or so, and then that when Drink Wisconsinbly came up, and he saw that, and he introduced me to his business partner, Ryan Walter, who saw it, and he's like, and Ryan's like a super smart guy, and he's got a ton of experience. He's like one of the original guys at The Onion.
Okay.
So he worked there for like 20 years.
Sure.
He's just, and he started this other business, and like the humor, like I grew up on The Onion, I get that humor, and that's not all that different from kind of what some of the stuff that we do is.
No, I agree. I think The Onion is hilarious, and that was like earlier Facebook days. I remember seeing things like that shared, and this was before fake news was like a huge problem. This was when it was really just funny, you know. And like now, it's like a whole different thing. But at the time, anyways, that was hilarious. I love reading that.
Yeah. So I met Ryan. We got together and we just kind of were talking, and like we like short term and then like long term. What could you do with this? And like if you put your creativity to it, you could take this to a lot of different places, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we ended up and where we are today. But it took a while to get there. So that was work. So then after about a year, then I partnered up with those guys. We were kind of teamed up together to combine resources so we could do just buy the merchandise, do that stuff, use some of his like people that he works with to help facilitate the product and all that kind of stuff. And
that wasn't like those weren't like your employees. That was just like you working in collaboration with all of these people during that time frame.
Yep.
Wow.
So the big shift happened when, and here we go with the years, 2017.
Okay.
We had the opportunity. A friend of mine, there's a little corner bar in Walker's Point, Milwaukee, and they're like, this could be great for you guys, just to have like a Drink Wisconsinbly bar. And that's something we thought, if we could figure it out how to do it, let's do it. So that opportunity came up, and we got that together, and it was a great little pub in the corner there.
Yeah. Well, was that then the first time you actually had to hire a whole staff and like really invest in the whole thing?
Yeah, that's when like exactly. We finally had to like bring in employees, because there was a kitchen. They were small, but like really good food. Like David Sloan, like a local chef, he like helped us develop this menu, and we had like the best cheese curds. People still talk about how like the best cheese curds they had. They're really good.
Yeah, because they were like Wisconsin like themed meals and stuff, right?
They kind of all were for sure.
Yeah,
like Wisconsin nachos and but like great fish fry. Just the food was really good for bar food. Surprisingly.
But based on the numbers you're telling me, that means that still wasn't your full-time career, even when you did all of that. How in the world could you manage doing that? Because that alone for most people is like 70 hours. You know what I mean?
It was a lot. And I still had another job, and I was still doing other things. I still have these other things that I was doing as well. But,
sure.
You're young, and you set your mind to something, and you don't need as much sleep as you do as you get older.
How do you learn how to prioritize which projects over the others? Because I remember I had a boss years ago who would tell me when I would like do projects at work, she would say, if you're not going to do it to 100%, don't bother doing it. And I was like, I disagree with that. And all these years later, I look back on it, I was like, that's a stupid sentiment in my opinion, because as a business owner, you're never going to have everything to 100% of what you want it to be. In the first 90% will take you 3 hours, but the other 10% will take you 2 days.
Sure.
And so you have to constantly be prioritizing which thing needs my attention the most as they are coming up. And juggling that is really difficult and stressful.
It is. And I'm the last, I might be the last person to ask it, because I'm not great at it now. I mean, we're a small team, so like we're jumping around here, but Drink Wisconsinbly, we have 7 full-time employees right now. I think a lot of people think this company's much bigger than it is. But
I would have guessed.
We're pretty small. And so I'm titled as creative director, but I mean, we all do a lot. But I like social media. So I've been doing since day one. Well, it started with I'm Not Drunk.
Yeah.
Since 2010. Am I right with the dates?
Yeah.
15 years. I don't think I've had a one day where I haven't posted on social media.
Whoa.
Since then. So right into Drink Wisconsinbly, I post on Drink Wisconsinbly at least 3 times a day every day
it's all the
12
time.
years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I mean, we've grown, so we have other people we collaborate with, and other people are bringing in some content stuff. But it's me. I don't think most people think I'm the guy behind all this.
Do you have just like a notebook with 1,000 ideas for memes, or how do you not run out of
ideas?
I used
to have that. Now it's a little different. I don't know, because there's so many other people doing it now.
Yeah,
it's like, oh well, that person did that. It's trickier, but I have a process.
Yeah. So why did you during that time frame, you must have then started your own separate social media as Drink Wisconsinbly, right?
Yes.
So you were just
right when it started.
Okay. So when did you shift and go, well, that's going to be the priority? Was it pretty quick?
From I'm Not Drunk?
Yeah.
Yeah, right away, actually. I'm like, there's no reason to keep both of these going. They're pretty much the same thing. Like,
sure, but how come you didn't like leverage that following in any
I did. That's how I got, Yeah, back then it was still fairly easy to get people organically to go to kind of like
shift
join a page. So I started posting Drink Wisconsinbly stuff on there and getting people to share. So we're at like 370 some thousand on Facebook for
for
Drink Wisconsinbly.
Sure.
And I'd say at least half of those came over pretty early on with that shift.
Yeah, I mean, you were early on the game as far as like leveraging social media to build a brand. You know what I mean? And now all these huge companies are like refocusing with their marketing teams of like, okay, apparently social media has to be a bigger part of our budget. And now like it's funny because you see all these massively successful huge brands and their brand identity through social media overnight will be drastically different. And you're like, you just hired a new intern, didn't you?
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny to see it evolve in that kind of way. And some are doing it more successful than others. So I'm very grateful that I get to be the first person to really tell your story, which is pretty wild that you guys have been around for as long as you have. And everyone has seen Drink Wisconsinbly. Like everyone in the state has seen it. That's for sure. And this is the first time you've ever done an interview.
Yeah, I've done a few little things here and there, but as far as like a podcast or something more long form, and just in general with Drink Wisconsin, I'm pretty good about staying in the background. Like of all these thousands of posts on, social media or whatnot. I might show up in a couple randomly. Like I went on vacation once and somebody else posted like my face for like my birthday or something like that. But I'm fine with being in the background.
Was that like intentional from the beginning that you just want this to be like a faceless kind of a brand?
I did. And it was early. There wasn't a lot of people, with their faces out. Like there's like the Charlie Barons. Like there's so many people who are good at it now. But for me, that's not my personality for one thing. And we've had this conversation like on the team, like, we don't really want it to be us about us. It's really about all of the people of Wisconsin. Like we're celebrating Wisconsin. One of the things that I did pretty early on that was, you try things, you don't know what's going to work, but like people in our shirts, I do these DW of the day.
Yeah.
Drink Wisconsinbly, do DW of the day. And I've been doing this for 10 years, whatever it is, like thousands of it. And that's just, people love it because they submit stuff all the time or they tag us or whatever. So I reshare it. They're famous for a day. It's good for them. It's good for us. I mean, they're walking billboards all over the place, which is why we'll always be in the merchandise. Yeah. We'll always have merchandise as part of what we do. I mean, we have 2 gift shops right now. We have a gift shop in the Dells, outlets at the Dells, which is that's kind of our main gift shop. And then we have one up in Door County as well. And we used to have one in Lake Geneva. So merchandise is always going to be a big part of what we do. For sure.
But the first like physical location of anything you had was that pub, right?
It was that corner, the little corner pub. Yep.
Okay, so how long did you have that pub, and what was it that caused it? Was it just like too good of an opportunity for growth that you closed it, or like why was it that you went away? Because it sounds like it was really well received.
Yeah, it was great. We loved that little spot. I think we were on Milwaukee, voted on Milwaukee's best new pub and best pub in 2017 when we first opened up.
Oh, cool.
We actually were best new pub again at the new place.
Sick. Very congrats. That's rad.
We got a lot of fans. What are you gonna? That was
sure.
votes. But yeah, so it was a great little spot, and we had events there, like all just fun. It was so fun. When the Pfizer Forum was starting to open up, they're developing that out. And working in the Deer District, there's some people from the Bucks organization that would come in, and they knew the pub, they knew us, they just had a good time with our bartenders and all that, and just started to have some interaction, some communication. Their focus when they first opened up, I don't know if you remember this or not, but they had there's like a focus on local, so they're inside like all the restaurants and all the little things inside.
What year was that Pfizer opened?
You're gonna ask me about the years?
Yeah.
Let's go with 2000 and.
Was it like pre-pandemic or after the pandemic?
Right before.
Right before it. Okay.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
6 years ago.
Sure.
Is when we. So they had 3 bars inside of the Pfizer Forum that we're going to call the Drink Wisconsinbly pubs. Okay. So we didn't have a lot of. This is more of a branding thing, really, because they're the Bucks employees, and we were supposed to kind of curate the beers together, but that was mostly their thing too. So we didn't have a lot to do with that. More, we would have liked to, but that's just the way it was. But it was great branding. I mean, you walk in there and like, huge logos everywhere, and it would show up like on backdrops for, TNT and like the playoffs and stuff. So that was great.
Yeah.
And we knew that was kind of like our foot in the door with the Bucks, because we knew where they were developing the Deer District. And there's just 4 locations in the Deer District. And there was one smallish one that, we started talking to them about, like, I think we could fit in that spot. That'd be good for us. So they liked that idea. I know they were definitely talking to some other people as well, but we managed to pull that off. So they're like, okay, I think we're going to make you guys, like, we call it the corner bar of the Deer District. So, there was Punch Bowl Social was like the big one in our building. There was Mecca, which is Bucks own, and then Good City is on the other side. And they all were, bigger than us and food, the whole thing. And we're just kind of a little corner bar, which was fine by us.
Yeah.
It was a little shinier and, new than a corner bar would be, but we made it our own. And
I mean, it's pretty big now. So did it expand, or is that like what it started
no,
at?
That's what it was, but it's compared to everybody else, it's
Oh,
it's a
okay.
small little space.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome. You guys must have taken a long time just to even build that, like, and get all the memorabilia and everything. To like, it's a unique spot. It's like a very like picturesque, something you would want to take photos for social media, which I feel like must have been intentional as you're putting all this
Yeah,
stuff
I mean,
together.
so that's a lot of what we did at the original pub. I kind of brought it over. We wanted the the
Yeah.
aesthetic and the experience to be similar. It was
Yeah.
going to be different, but sort of similar. So, but yeah, I think we had it was about 6 months from gravel on the ground, nothing in there for us to work with an architect and a designer and to kind of pull it all together. It was very frantic. Yeah, 6 months, maybe even a little less. And there was a country, I can't remember the name of the country, guys. I'm not a big country music fan.
Oh,
but
sure. So
somebody came on a Friday and Saturday and doors open, let's go. And those 2 nights, I don't think we've ever, to this day, I don't think we've topped those 2 nights as far
Wow.
as how we did in sales.
sure.
Just because everybody's excited to get in for the first time. And
Was it opening that location that triggered it to be your full-time thing finally?
yes,
Okay.
that's where we kind of restructured the company. We raised a little bit of money, but okay, now we're going for it. We've been doing this for a long time. We've wanted to kind of pull the trigger here and there, and things just didn't work out for whatever reason. And I was fine because I was busy doing my other thing. And
Sure.
but yeah, that was the catalyst for that. So that's when we hired. I was the first hire. Then we did have a GM and a full-time
Sure.
people at the smaller pub, but as a new company, we restructured Wisconsinbly Holdings. It just kind of took it to the next level.
Sure. But you are the owner, right? Like you're
Yeah,
fully-
me and Ryan Walter we're the co-founders of the new company. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
We're the 2 owners, but we have smaller investors.
Sure.
We had to raise some money to kind of do some of the things that we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have done a lot. So I feel like what happens with business a lot is people want to see growth so bad that they'll do kind of anything to see it. And then sometimes it's way too early before, you know what I mean?
We
People
didn't
jump the gun.
not rush it. No.
Yeah. Has there ever been a time with anything that you've done? I mean, there must be, where you felt like you bit off more than you could chew at that moment.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, some of the other things that we really haven't touched on, some of the other side businesses. Just because when again, I had little kids, I had a full-time job. The Drink Wisconsinbly was a part of this, but I still was working on these other startups. I was part of 2 or 3 other startups that grew and sold off, acquired. So I was always biting off more than I could chew in some regards, but I didn't mind because it was just you never know what is going to be just coming into this interview, the passion, right? I've done so many of these things, but you don't know. I didn't know this was going to be the thing that was going to be the thing, right? You just don't know.
Yeah.
I did a lot of things that I thought were going to be this is a winner for sure. Let me tell you one real quick. Just
Yeah.
we're jumping around, but when people were just the iPhone was coming out and
Yeah.
people were messing around with apps, so I wanted to get into that. So I think I did 4 different apps, games.
Yeah.
But one that I did, I thought, oh, this is when Jersey Shore. Do you remember? I'm sure you saw Jersey
Yeah.
Shore, right? This is
Yeah.
so dumb, but I thought it was so funny. It just tells you a lot about my mentality. I wanted to build a little retro side-scrolling game.
Okay.
So I'm I started designing it it came to me. So it's the Jersey Shore boardwalk, and you've got a little Guido, looks like Pauly D. He's running on the boardwalk, and it's called Jersey GTL. So Gym Tan Laundry. Again, if you remember the show, you got to hit the gym, the tan, the laundry. So he's running on the board line. He's got to avoid the grenades, and he's got to pick up gold chains and the boombox. And he's got to go to the gym, and then, as he's running, his skin's getting lighter and lighter, so he's getting dangerously pale.
Yeah.
So you got to get to the tan and boost up, and then he goes in the tanning bed. So this fun little game that I was there's my passion. That was a passion. I was doing all these other things, but I really wanted to see if I could pull this off. So I got the game together, and it was actually kind of fun. And I worked with a developer who could pull this off for me because I wasn't doing the coding or anything, but I just designed it all. We got it out there and it did okay. I tried to tag the Jersey Shore, nothing, a few little things here and there. But anyway, maybe 3 or 4 months into it, I got this company called Metal Mobile out in LA contacted me and we saw what you did with your game. We think we could help take you to the next level. He's we work with Pauly D and he likes the game and he wants to become part of it. So this all came together. I partnered with these guys. Pauly D comes on board. Now he's doing the voiceover of the game. He's putting his songs in the game, and then we changed it. Then we changed it to Beat That Boardwalk with Pauly D. So biting off more than I can chew. That was probably that was a big swing because I didn't know what I was doing at all, and the amount of little sprites and graphics that go into this game that it's like one of these games that doesn't end. It was a lot, and I didn't sleep for a few years.
How did you exit from that? Did you sell it off, or did it just like eventually kind of flop?
It just kind of, it's one of those things where, you kind of you plateau a little bit, and Paulie's on to his next thing. And so we made some money on it. We did okay. And then you just got to keep up with these. You have to do the updates. It was on Android and iPhone, and at some point it's like, well, we're not making enough to sustain it.
So when you went full time with Drink Wisconsinbly, was it a good feeling as far as like, now I finally have my full-time energy to just grow this brand the most I possibly can? Or did you have some of the feeling of like, now I'm limited because I can't work on any other side thing? This is my whole thing.
No, I was definitely ready. I was ready to just focus on one thing.
Yeah, because I mean, you were like, what, 7 years into the company or something ridiculous at that point, where you're like, this has been a focus of mine for so long. I'm sure it must have felt like a long time coming.
It did. But looking back, I don't think I would have changed it much, because it felt like we needed that time for things to find their way. And because like the timing, everything's timing, right? Who you know, and timing. Because we could have done something, but without that Fiserv Forum opportunity, like things would have just not worked in the same way. So
yeah, I'm a firm believer that things happen when they're supposed to happen. And I'm not like spiritual or whatever, but I just think like it tends to happen that way throughout your life, that like you think, especially when you're sitting there frustrated, like, why is this not happen? Why is this opportunity not here for me yet? Why is my show not be massive, whatever. And then you can look at it 5 years and you look back and you go, I can tell why it wasn't there yet. And I'm so glad I didn't push it to be something it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, I think people need to take way less pressure off of themselves and just like do the best they can with what's happening in front of them, use those opportunities, and the right ones will come along if you're patient. With business especially, I really do think, I interviewed Tommy Vext a long time ago, and he related to being just last man standing. And I think that is like such a true way to look at it, because social media or anything, right? It's like there are so many people that are out there chasing these things. That's very competitive, right? Everyone's doing their own thing. Well, the only reason that you succeed, because there's other people that are just as smart, that are just as creative, they're just as whatever, is that when you hit your rut, because ruts eventually come, when you hit a rut, you just keep going.
Keep going
until you get out of that rut.
It's a different mentality.
Right. But most people fall off. You know, you see a lot of people that like hit viral moments or whatever, they pop, and then because they don't continue to see that growth, and in fact, they start going down because they haven't seen anything take off, a lot of people give up, where you're like, I wonder what happened to this person from 5 years ago that was huge. Well, that's what happened. You know what I mean? It's just people who stick through it and keep going that eventually things will work, because the opportunities will, come up. So I got a couple list questions for you. You guys have made, I feel like, hundreds of things at this point, whether it's like your little bobble cup or all the drinks, which we'll get to, many, many different t-shirt designs. I saw jerseys. What are your favorite 3 pieces of merch that you have made throughout your career?
That's a good question. I'm definitely going to throw Happy in there, this little bobblehead. That was fun to work with the Bobblehead Museum to put that together. So that's a good one. A random one, and there's a little fun fact for you. At the gift shop that we have at the pub in Milwaukee, the #1 selling item I don't know if it is anymore, but for a few years, was a little Dwink Wisconsinbly onesie, baby onesie.
I saw that, yeah.
Dwink with the cow on it.
Yeah.
People just like, they see it. I don't know. Everybody knows somebody who's going to have a baby or has a baby. Like, those things sold. It was, so that was a fun one, just because it was, again, it's so random. But I thought it was, Dwink was funny, right?
Yeah, it was funny.
What else? God, we've done a lot. Probably the Supper Club poster. I don't know if you've seen that, but
I haven't.
Like, there's a bunch of other ones now, but the original Supper Club poster with 250 different supper clubs listed on it.
Oh, wild.
Yeah.
How long?
Just getting them involved and just just supporting them, and people seeing them, and people like, no, we've just got pictures. We've had that for years, like 3-4 years, something like that. But people just putting their little pins in, so where they've been and their favorite ones, and just like there's supper club groups now, and they just kind of, there's like this whole supper club community, which is cool. Yeah. So we're kind of early part of that.
I mean, one of the things I just love about your brand in general is it's not like somebody's personal ego. It is about building community. And again, that's part of it with being faceless, is like,
for sure.
Most people, and now people will hear from this, but generally speaking, the vast majority of the people out there that have heard of, and even probably that own a shirt or a piece of merchandise from you guys, have no idea who you are and don't really care who you are. But they identify with the brand because it's like a whole like culture, which I think is really rad that you've been able to build that, and through just working with other people too, right? So like I know that you did some stuff with Jared from Wisco Dive Bar Reviews, which he was a guest on the show. Yep. Jared shoots rules. Jared, you're the man. But I saw like on your website, you guys did some t-shirts and stuff with them,
yep.
but you guys have really expanded out, right? So you've been doing outside of the Drink Wisconsinbly, there's like even Bowl Wisconsinbly and Wag, like there's a whole bunch of different ones.
Yeah.
So what gave you the idea and what are all the different things? What are you doing with that?
Yeah. So, I mean, we knew pretty early on that Wisconsin was just, I mean, it was a drinking brand, Drink Wisconsinbly, but it just opened itself up to Wisconsin in so many different ways. So pretty early on, we had Fish Wisconsinbly and Hunt Wisconsinbly merchandise and that kind of thing.
Which started as just like a t-shirt or whatever.
Yeah, usually use t-shirts and koozies and, just all the usual things you would find, right? But that expanded, like Explore Wisconsinbly was like another big one, another big initiative we had a few years ago. We did a kind of a big push with media. So we had Mary Mack and Mark Toucher. We sent them all over the state doing videos. Like we got a pretty good YouTube channel with some really good content on there. So yeah, Explore. Yeah, you mentioned. Well, I'll go back to Jared real quick. So we did a custom Dive Wisconsinbly t-shirt and sweatshirt for him. We still sell it, and he wears it on the his stuff every once in a while. So yeah, he's a great guy. We did a little dive bar passport that Jared is part of that too. So that's another fun little product that we pulled off. Bowl Wisconsinbly, that one's fun. We did this kind of leads into we have a new initiative a few years ago at Wisconsinbly Care. So this is our way of kind of giving back.
Yeah. So
we did some little things, but that was kind of our big kickoff. So 3 years ago, could be 10. I don't know. Let's call it 3 years ago, I think.
Sure.
We had the idea of doing, so we have our accountant, our controller, our finance guy, his name's Al, and he's a great bowler. He's always telling us what a great bowler he is. So we're like, all right, Al, we have an idea for you. We are going to see if we can pull this off. We wanted to do, you might not remember this not being from Milwaukee, but there's a couple local shows way back, Bowling with the Champs.
Okay.
And the bowling game. So there's like at our old pub, we just have like the bowling game on one TV just rolling. It's just so random, but people loved it.
Yeah.
It was just this local Milwaukee thing. So we were like, all right, we're gonna try to pull this off. So we got in touch with Bobby Portis's people, and we're like, he is a charity. It's the Bobby Portis Foundation. We're like,
yeah,
all right,
from the Milwaukee Bucks, Bobby Portis.
Portis, yep. The mayor of Milwaukee.
Yeah. The guy who became a meme of like after that NBA playoff game where he had the headband and was just like,
the big eyes.
Technical foul. Yeah.
No, he's great. And so we pitched this idea to him because he's a bowler.
Yeah.
We said he was a bowler. No, he can bowl. So we did this thing at Landmark Lanes in Milwaukee. Just a big charity event. We had probably a couple hundred people in there. So it was Bobby versus Al, the accountant, bowling. We had like do this fun lead up to it, like some videos and stuff like that. So yeah, 3 games. It wasn't too close. Al was a much better bowler than Bobby turned out to be, but oh my God, he was so fun. He's not terrible. I think like a 150 or 160, but Al's an actual bowler.
Yeah.
But ton of fun. And, he's beforehand, he's, signing autographs and then just talking. Tom Cole, who was one of the hosts on the original Bowling with the Champ from back in the 80s, he's still local. Like I had some friends who knew him, so we got together with him and he's like, oh, I'd love to be part of it. So he was like the host. We had some other hosts. So yeah, it was just this cool thing. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's on YouTube. So yeah, we had this fundraiser for Bobby's charity and they bowled and it was a great time.
I mean, the beautiful part about working for yourself and building a brand is that there aren't limitations on anything. You can do whatever you want. And there's been plenty of times over the years where I did something where I'm like, this isn't going to financially like be the best decision as far as like it's not going to make me the most amount of money or whatever, but it does align with what I want to do in general, and I just personally want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's an excuse. Why not? I drove all the way to Texas to interview the editor of Thrasher magazine because I wanted to, because I was a fan and I was like, cool. Yeah, now my show got put on ThrasherMagazine.com. Sick. As a skateboarder, I was like, it doesn't get any better than that, And that was just like a personal endeavor of like, I just like want to do that. So it's talking about like top 3 events, your favorite 3 events you've ever been a part of. I assume the Bobby Portis bowling one's got to be in the top 3. Yeah, what are the other 2?
So we starting back when we had the original pub, Curd Fest. So we had Curd Fest. I don't know if you've seen any of that, but just it's all about the cheese curds, curd vendors, different, just when we were in Walker's Point, just a lot of the local people came. So we closed off the street and just had that big party. And we just celebrated our 5th one. So we had the 5th Curd Fest here.
Oh, wow.
Last year. So we'll keep that going. That's just a ton of fun we have. So now we do it on the Fiserv, the Deer District's Plaza. We got a polka band out there. The food, it's mostly food trucks now coming in, but we got 6 or 7, 8 different vendors. We have people carving cheese and yeah, it's a good time. And that's just random and that's a fun one for sure.
Well, I'm sure the best cheese curds ever were the ones at your old pub, but since you don't have that anymore, currently, if somebody was out to find the best cheese curds in Wisconsin, where would you send them?
That's a good question. Who's got a good one? Crafty Cow, I think I would probably say. They got a really good curd.
Everything that I've seen from them looks delicious. Okay, how about this? You guys partner with a lot of different people because you do make your own drinks. Currently at the pub, you're not making beer yet. So we'll get to these drinks.
We started
but as far as beer, so you did do beer.
Sort of.
Okay, well, so what's the story behind?
So yeah, before any of this, us dipping our toe into just because we always knew we were gonna go this way at some point. We didn't know how we were gonna get there or how we were gonna do it. Again, we're patient. Obviously, we're patient people. So we had a pretty good relationship with Line and Kugels. We were doing co-branded merchandise with Line and Kugels. They were selling it up in Chippewa Falls at the Liney Lodge. So we got to know those guys and Dick actually pretty well too. And, just over the course of some conversations, we're like, well, what do you think about maybe just putting partnering up on a beer? And it took a while to get there with them. He had some say, but it was obviously Molson Coors was their owner. So we finally made it happen. So yeah, we put out a Drink Wisconsinbly red lager with Line and Kugels, and it was a really good beer. It just kind of got lost in the shuffle of all the other beers and just the timing wise. But,
yeah. Plus, you're doing that through somebody else. So
yeah, we have not too much control over any of that.
How fresh and how new is the current lineup? Because right now you guys make, which we have them on the table here. You have the different vodka cocktails. You have brandy. You have the pre-made brandy old fashions, and then vodka. That's the full lineup of what you guys make.
This is all we have. Yep, this is what we have right now. Yep.
So what came in what order? When did you do them?
First thing we started with was the brandy.
Okay.
To us, it made the most sense. I mean, we're kind of all about old fashions, at the old pub and at the new pub. I mean, we just old fashions. People love.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but the people who do, or they like to try it. And this is our way of introducing this to the next generation. They're not going to be coming into a bar and ordering an old fashioned anytime soon. But once they try it, it's not bad. And there's other things you can do with brandy. So yeah, out the gate, it was brandy. And, I mean, we put quite a bit of work into it. I mean, there's things you can do in this industry. We could for sure just throw in our logo on someone else's brandy and put it out. But, we worked on this. We found a brandy in California. We have tankers come bring brandy from California to Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
Because there's not a lot of brandy actually in Wisconsin.
Right.
But it's a 2-year-old brandy. We bring it in. There's a place in Waukesha that they do the mixture for us, like port wine, and just to make it our own. It's a real smooth brandy. It goes really good with making an old fashioned. And this is a Corbel state. It has been. There's a lot of good brandies in Wisconsin now. There weren't going back.
Well, I mean, again, it's identifying opportunities with business, right? When spaces are just way too oversaturated, even if you have a good idea, sometimes it's just not the right timing. But the timing for that at that moment, it was great. So you identified the need for something and you pounced on it. What came next after that?
Yeah, so the next logical step was the old fashioned, and this was not easy, but we pour no good old fashioned. So we figured out the right people, who to talk to. We reverse engineered our old fashioned. We won, I think, Shepherd Express's Old Fashioned Fest 3 or 4 years in a row. Our Andy Braun, he was our first bartender that we hired, but just really good at the beverage space and knowing what to do, and just mixologist or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
You just poured a really good old fashioned, and we figured out how to reverse engineer that. And it's not an easy thing to do when you're putting in a can and carbonation and all that and the ingredients but yeah, this has been out, and this is doing pretty well for us. It's, I think, 4 years now.
How many versions of that were made before you actually put it out publicly? When you're saying a lot goes into it, I'm sure you do this, mix it, you got a whole process, try it, and you're like, no. Yeah.
There was a ton of iteration. Same with these. We didn't put anything out until we were happy with what it was actually going to be.
Right.
Yeah. So we're working with Potosi right now to do these, but we had been working with Sprecher.
Sure.
So, you find the right people to do this, and there's a lot of talented people out there who know what they're doing.
Sure. So after that, then I guess what came next, the vodka or the vodka cocktails? I think the vodka.
It was the vodka. So brandy, then the old fashioned, then 2 years after that, we're just okay, so now we have a sales team. We have a couple guys on the road. If they're out there pitching this, the next logical step is, and of course the people who drink, more people are drinking vodka than brandy. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, sure.
So, we put this together. This is again, 45th parallel. This is six times filtered through. This is a really smooth vodka. We didn't just, you can throw your name on something and throw it out there. Nope. Not saying anything against the people who do that, because not everybody's at different places, right?
Sure.
We're fortunately able to, we invested in the beverage company. And so, it's just a smooth vodka. It's affordable. And then the next logical step for us was to work on some vodka cocktails, because you follow the trends and what are a lot of people drinking these days, right?
Yeah, seltzer waters and whatnot. I will say, like, I made a few bloodies with this vodka the other day, and I'm only 34, but I get hangovers so easy now. But I didn't at all. I was really surprised when I was assuming I was going to wake up with a headache, and I didn't. And I was like, maybe this is just the vodka I need to drink from now on.
There's something to that. That's not something we're going to say, this vodka, you're not going to get a vodka with a hangover,
right, yeah,
but I've tested this. I tested this in a way that, I think you know what I'm saying. And I felt pretty good the other day.
Yeah.
The next day. So,
I mean, that's like the sign of what a good vodka is. So what is coming up then? What's really next with it? Are you pushing to do like more variety, like different flavors of different things? Are you going to go to a whole nother, kind? Like, are you going to do a gin or something? Like, what do you...
Yeah, I mean,
really
I would
pushing?
say all those things are on the table. But just to come back to these a little bit.
Yeah.
Because this was the biggest challenge, I think, because... I mean, we were working with a flavor house that was helping us develop these, and we wanted to do. We had 4. We were going to do 4 flavors, and this took over a year. Like we're patient with this. We could have just kind of rushed these things out. Like just a lot of times. I mean, sometimes that's the strategy. Like what do they say? Like if you're not breaking things, you're not going fast enough or whatever it is.
Yeah, sure. But when you have an established brand, and there's a culture behind it, you don't want to put something out that people are going to be disappointed by.
No, absolutely not. It's especially since we had kind of already felt like we put a good foundation with some quality.
Yeah. Well, I always think with business in general, playing the long game is the solution every single time. Yeah. Like, what's going to get you to the long game? Don't worry about the nickels now. Worry about the dollars later on. Yeah. And if you don't want to talk about money, either way, but it's just like you always got to look at what's going to work best in the long run. And even if you miss out on some of the sales for this 6-month time frame or this year time frame or whatever, if you put out something that's too quickly and it's not good, and somebody's first experience with Drink Wisconsinbly as a brand
for sure
is that thing, it kills that customer for life. Rather than if you just wait and you put out the good thing, then it'll grow. And then people just have this assumption when they see your brand on something, it must be good.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because we do all these different things.
Yeah.
You don't know what anybody's starting point is or what they... Some people are going to think we're just a t-shirt company. That's fair. Some people might only know us from this because they just saw this, right? But that first experience, like we have gift shops, you want them to walk in and have a good experience. Same with the bar. Same with, like the merchandise. If they're at a store, like, if you're putting out crappy t-shirts, that could sway their whole mindset on the brand in general, which can hurt everything. So we're conscious of that, and we put the time in. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's a brand that is based around a culture of being proud of being a Wisconsinite, right? That's like where everything comes from. So if you're going to want people to be paying money to advertise for you, it's because they want to be invested, like they feel like they're a part of something.
Yeah.
And if they're not proud of the thing, like if they don't think you're proud of what you're putting out, then they're not going to invest themselves in either. It's like all kind of attached.
And in a weird way, there's a lot of people, and I hear this all the time. And again, I can walk into the pub and sit there, have a beer. No one knows who I am. I like that because, again, not the face of the company. Don't need to be, don't want to be. So you just talk to people and you hear stuff, right? And like they feel a certain pride for this. Like these people, the thousands of photos, right? Like these DWers of the day. These people are wearing these shirts. They go all over the country, all over the world, and sending pictures. Like, we're from Wisconsin. It's like, you're wearing a Wisconsin shirt. Like, now people wear Drink Wisconsinbly shirts, and I mean, I love to see that. That's great.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the same thing as like people wearing Badger shirts or Packer shirts or whatever. Like I said, there's a whole lot of Wisconsin pride.
Yeah, I think they go everywhere.
Yeah, well, it's because I think so much of the country looks at us as just like this farmland with nothing happening. And like, there's so much more to it that like when I run into people from Wisconsin anywhere else in the world, I'm like, hell yeah, we're from the state. Cheese curds.
Connect. Like, go on vacation, see somebody else in Wisconsin, show you your best friends at the bar like 10 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what is going to be coming up for the next like immediate future as people are moving on? Like after the show, people are going to go on Instagram and find Drink Wisconsinbly. They're going to go on Facebook and find it. You guys have TikTok?
Yeah, we're on TikTok.
Okay, so you're going to find it on TikTok. They're just going to Google it. They're going to find all these things. They're going to go buy T-shirts and whatever. But now that they're going to be tuning in, what can they expect to be coming from you guys?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have 2 websites. We have Drink Wisconsinbly is kind of our main merch site, and then Wisconsinbly.com, which is just the company in general. So you can learn about the pub, the gift shops, the beverages, and like all the media and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Our 2 primary focuses right now are definitely the beverage company. So we released these 3. We had one that wasn't ready, so we just kind of scrapped it. But we're definitely be developing more of these. There's some things I just can't talk about yet, but we're definitely going to be.
Sure.
Bevco is definitely growing. Right now, we have our sales director, Sean, who I mentioned earlier, who's the one who introduced me to Ryan.
Sure. He stopped by my house. Super cool dude.
Oh yeah, Sean's the best. So he's our sales director, but he's also like our only sales guy right now.
Sure.
Think about that. Like Drink Wisconsinbly, we have one sales guy doing the beverage stuff.
Which
so
is
obviously we had another one. People come and go, but we're looking for another one. But like that's how small we still are. Like we're in the first inning of where we think we can be with this.
Yeah.
So yes, beverage company, obviously huge. There's a lot of opportunity there. We see that as and hospitality. So we have one pub right now. There's no reason there should be a pub in Madison, Green Bay, a little dive bar up in Woodruff or Minocqua. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
The growth, the opportunity there is. This is something we've been working on. We just take our time. I mean, good or bad, we take our time. But we've got a plan in place now, and we're pretty close to realizing an opportunity to branch out and have multiple pubs in the next 2-3 years.
Wow. Yeah, you got to get one up in Eau Claire. It's just about like the right opportunities, right? Yeah. It's like you got to have the right people line up at the right time with the right location that lines up at the right time. But you guys already have the recipe for success. You know,
I feel like the foundation's there. We've set 12 years of building a pretty solid base for this brand.
For real. I mean, if you look at the one that's by the Deer District, if you literally just took that bar, picked it up, and you put it anywhere else in the state that has a population anyways, like a decently sized city, but if you put it in any of those places, it would go. You know, you just got to find the staff and, again, find the right building at the right time and all that type of stuff. But you at least you already have all the groundwork laid for this because people already love the brand. I love the brand. I really had I had been seeing it for an extended period of time. And I don't know why I'd ever thought, I should just reach out to you guys. For one, I don't live in Milwaukee, sure. So it's not like I see it constantly.
Do people think this is a Milwaukee brand, or you just kind of knew that?
Well, we just don't have it in Eau Claire.
But not the pub, but just the brand in general,
maybe
seeing it.
I don't see it a ton in Eau Claire, so I knew it's not from that area.
Sure.
I have seen it on bumper stickers or whatever.
Yeah, I guess what I meant was if you see the social media stuff, that's a very Milwaukee brand, or do you think of it as just a Wisconsin brand? Because I try to not. We're from here, but it's going to lean to Milwaukee with things we're doing in town. But I try to keep it. I don't think that it comes across as Milwaukee. I think that Wisconsin's just a small enough area that if something's not from where you're from. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm well aware it's not from the Chippewa Valley because I know everything that's going on in that part of you know what I mean? And I think it'd be the same way if somebody up north or somebody in Door County, they know it's not from that zone.
Yeah.
It's somewhere else in the state. But no, I don't think it's exclusively a Milwaukee thing. And it's not going to be anymore because now it's on the Passion Pod all the time.
That's right.
It's on my laptop.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to be
Happy
seeing
to be
this.
part of it. Yeah,
Yeah. Stoked to be able to finally partner with you guys.
Yeah.
The finally meaning one DM, which led to an email, which within a day it was we should do some work together.
Yeah.
And then we lined up this
again.
interview,
There's not a lot of hoops to jump through for us. It's let's do it. That's easy. Right?
Yeah. This is perfect. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to specifically mention while we're here? I feel like we told the story of Drink Wisconsinbly, at least for this part. Maybe we'll have to do a part 2 in the future.
Maybe. This is more than I've talked in 10 years, so I think you got a lot out of me.
Perfect.
I think I'm good.
Dude, thank you so much for hosting me at this building, which isn't the pub.
No.
But I think after this, maybe we need to go get a drink at the pub.
That'd be great. Let's do it.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Passion Pod. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you soon.